Recently, I posted a stealth guide video covering tips and tricks on how to stealth in Valhalla. I mentioned there that there are a lot of tools and abilities you can use for stealth. While I talk about some abilities in that video, I didn't really dive deep. Also, that guide was for stealth in general, it wasn't really focusing on ghosting. And so I decided to create a list of what I think are the best ghost stealth tools in Valhalla. And by ghost stealth tools, I mean tools that you can use for ghosting, meaning tools that do not damage or take out enemies. So the poison clouds and rat swarm abilities are not included in this list. I'll just be talking about tools that can help navigate around areas and distract enemies. Let's start. First up are the bows. In Valhalla, we have 3 types of bows: light, hunter, and predator bow. For ghosting, it doesn't really matter which one you use, since you'll just use the arrows as distraction instead of, damaging enemies. Now you may say, but using the bows as a distraction is not cool at all. And yes, you're right, it kind of is boring if you think about it. But you see, there are cases when you can use the bow as a distraction while also doing the slow-mo effect during jumps. Also, when using the predator bow and guided arrow, you can be more accurate on where you land the arrow, which can be very helpful if you're trying to do a very specific thing while ghosting. Next is Feign Death. I was iffy about including this ability since using it for ghosting is more of a gimmick rather than efficiency, but I think it has its uses. What I mean about this is, you can use Feign Death as an emergency button when you're about to get spotted. For example, you can be sneaking your way into an area and suddenly a random guard appears and is about to spot you. If you're quick enough, you can activate Feign Death and the guard will not detect you. Still, they will investigate and you'll have to wait until they turn their back and go back to their route. And it would take a while, so you'll have to do a lot of waiting. But once the coast is clear, you can move again and continue with your ghosting. Additional note though, if you move while a guard is near you, they can instantly spot you. I don't know why this works like that, however it is how it is. So make sure to wait until the guards are far away. So yeah, Feign Death is a nice ghosting ability when the only rule you are following is the no killing and no detection rule. But if you're more of a purist, you might not want to use it since it provokes guards to investigate, which can be considered a level 2 alert in stealth games. Now let's talk about the power of Muspelheim from the Dawn of Ragnarok DLC. This ability or power is basically the buffed up version of the game's cloak disguise. When you use this, you basically become invisible to Muspels and Jotnars, since they see you as an ally. When you use this power, you can run around the camp, even open chests, pickpocket certain enemies, and just really interact with everything without the risk of being detected. Of course, if you bump into an enemy or just straight up assassinate someone, they will become hostile and detect you. So yeah, this is an overpowered ability, and sadly it only works in the DLC and not in the base game. Still, it's a cool stealth ability that gives Odin a cool look as well. Oh, and yeah, there's an alternate version of this called Jotunheim Power, which disguises Odin as a Jotnar instead of a Muspel. They function the same in terms of disguise, since Muspels and Jotnars will also not attack Odin if you're using the power. The difference is just the Muspelheim Power allows you to walk on lava, while the Jotunheim Power lets you use the teleport arrow ability. Next is the whistle. Now, the reason why this one is in the cool list is because of its simplicity that just fits the standard ghosting playstyle. The whistle is an ability or skill or whatever you call it that can lure guards into the spot where you whistle from. It's good for ghosting since you can use it to distract a guard and then reposition quickly to get past a certain doorway or entry point. There is not much to say really about the whistle since it's almost a staple in modern stealth games. In some instances, you can even do a sort of a shoulder tap move with the whistle. For example, you whistle from the right side of an enemy and then smoothly make your way to the other side as they are turning to check. But this is really risky, especially in Valhalla since sometimes enemies turn to the opposite side. Still, pulling this off is one of the coolest thing you can do, when ghosting at least. So yeah, whistle's best use is to lure an enemy in bushes or maybe behind a corner and then just reposition to get past them. Next are the Smoke Arrow and Thorn of Slumber or Sleep Arrows. Now, I know these abilities are 2 separate ones, however the way they work is very similar so I just placed them in the same spot. So these abilities are basically the standard smoke bombs we have in Assassin's Creed with the Sleep Arrows having a sleep effect. They are a must-have in any stealth tool list since they are a staple in Assassin's Creed stealth and are very useful for ghosting. For the smoke arrow, it creates a blanket of smoke that acts as a wall between you and enemies, preventing them from seeing you. However, the smoke arrow in Valhalla feels inferior compared to Unity and Syndicate smoke. I think it's because it dissipates quicker, and from my experience when using it against 3 or more enemies, I can only assassinate 2 before the other guards detect me. Still, since we don't kill guards when ghosting, the smoke arrow gives more than enough time to pass through a certain area. The sleep arrow functions better in the sense that it can put a group of enemies to sleep. However, personally, I only put enemies to sleep as a last resort when ghosting, or when I want to do something creative. But yeah, overall it's a great tool for ghosting since it doesn't kill enemies and allow you to neutralize a group. Next is the amazing Blinding Rush ability. Now this is a great ability for ghosting since it's technically a slowdown time mechanic. I find this one very useful when trying to take advantage of certain timings that you would otherwise be unable to get to. One good example of this is in the Assassinate the Vault mission, where the mission starts you undetected. However, if you don't use the Blinding Rush ability, enemies around you can eventually spot you. So when I did this mission, using the ability allowed me to climb my way up the benches undetected. Blinding Rush is also useful in combination with other abilities. So for example, if a target is guarded closely by enemies, you can use the smoke arrow to stun enemies and then use Blinding Rush to quickly assassinate your target and get out. Also, as I've mentioned in my stealth guide video, I noticed with this ability that when you use it while you are hiding in grass, enemies won't be able to spot you even if you walk in front of them. However, if you use this ability outside of grass, enemies will detect you when you move near them. And lastly, the torch. Now, the torch is a tool that was supposed to just be a light source we can use when going into caves. However, I learned that when throwing the torch, it becomes a good distraction tool. As I've also mentioned before, it acts like those throwable coins and rocks in other stealth games. Since it's small and lure guards with sound, it often just attracts a single guard. This makes it great for making guards turn around, allowing you a window of opportunity to enter rooms and entryways. Furthermore, during missions where the only objective is to destroy objects such as carts, the torch can be a substitute to fire arrows. You see, if you get the angle right, you can really throw the torch far. For example, here's one of my Ragnarok ghosting videos. I threw the torch quite far to destroy a far away cart. This allowed me to finish this mission without killing anyone and never getting detected. And so yeah, the torch ever since Origin has become a great stealth tool for me. It functions like a mini noisemaker. No need to unlock it, and we have an infinite supply of torches. So yeah, that's my list of the coolest ghost stealth tools and abilities in Valhalla. Now I know I'm probably missing some things and overlook an ability that is probably cooler than any of this, but this should do for now. Thanks.